So I ordered fleece, 2 yards each, because I am going to do a DIY ghosty haunted spooky blanket. I love this print. It is so cute. It looks just like the one on the box. It has all of the ghosties. Absolutely the cutest thing ever. I bought 2 yards of this one, and it's a fleece fabric. It's so soft. And I also ordered Harvest Pumpkin. So it is also a super cozy, soft, plush fabric, fleece fabric. And I also got this in 2 yards, and it's going to be the backside of the ghost print. And I'm going to do one of those tie blankets. So it's pretty much like you make your own fleece blanket where you're just tying the ends, and it's super easy. Hi, my loves. So I have my blanket set up on the floor, and surprisingly, I don't have enough space. I have all my ghosties and everything in the way, but I wanted to just line up the blanket and see how everything works. And I can already tell I'm going to have to do some trimming because that orange fabric is cut a little bit too large and crooked, unfortunately. Whoever did it did not have a steady hand. First thing I'm doing is creating the little 5-inch strips, and apparently we don't have a ruler in this house, so I had to use the tape measure. But I'm measuring 5-inch strips so I can easily know how large to cut the strips for the blanket, as well as cutting the 5-inch square from every corner. So I figured using a little paper as my guide will be the easiest thing. So I'm just going to prep that and get it ready. One thing about me is I become mega perfectionist when it comes to crafts, and it really takes the fun out of the whole point of just crafting and being original. So I found myself becoming obsessive of just wanting to make sure I get it right, and I was off to a rough start. Like, I could already tell in my mind I was overthinking something that should just be super simple. So you'll see later in the video that the overthinking really just stops, and I really don't even use this paper guide. I do use it at the very beginning, but by the end of this blanket, I was just going hog wild with my own measurements, using my own judgment. So it's just the way I am. It's just how I am. But yeah, I'm definitely an overthinker, and it is super annoying. So now you can see I have most of my strips cut. They are 1 inch wide and 5 inches long. And yeah, hopefully this will work. So this is the end result. Not too bad, but this next part was a headache. And this is the part that just totally made me realize whoever cut my fabric completely made it uneven, and I had to go in and fix it best I could. You should have seen me. I spent so much time just trying to line up the fabric as best as I could. And this is kind of when I got to the point of being annoyed with myself because of my perfectionist personality. And really, I finally just told myself, you know what, we're just gonna make it do. This is literally a project. It is a craft. We can't be so serious about this, and I'm just doing my best. The orange part of the blanket was a little bit bigger, and it was just completely crooked. So here I'm just trimming off the edges as best as I could. And of course, I had to get comfortable with how I was cutting with the scissors. So of course there were some raw, really rough edges, and then I kind of got the hang of it later on. So we live and we learn. Now I have Halloween blankets, and I still haven't unpacked it. I have them still in those vacuum bags. But I really wanted to make my own this year. I thought that would be super fun. And I've seen my sister, she makes these tie fleece blankets for my nephews. And so I'm like, what if I were to make my own? It just seemed like a fun little thing to do. And I have a lot of time on my hands, so why not? But yeah, this project turned out to be a lot of fun. I put on music and I just really enjoyed it. The whole process, I think it took me about an hour, hour and a half. And yeah, I was just vibing the whole time. So this blanket comes with this weird trim on the side that pretty much gives like a warning that it shouldn't be used for children's sleepwear. So I had to make sure I remembered to cut that whole edge off. I don't know why the lady who was cutting the fabric wouldn't just do that on her own, but who knows. And so here we are, we're getting ready to, I flipped the blanket over because I figured it would be easier for me to just focus on the orange material. And we are making our first cut. I was so nervous here. I'm telling you guys, like I get so obsessive and I'm like, I just can't have fun. I have to be perfect and it's so annoying. So this first cut I made, I was just super scared that I was doing it wrong and I didn't want to mess up, and I was so annoyed that the fabric wasn't lining up correctly. And yeah, but once I started to make the cuts, it got a little bit easier and I cared less about perfection. But this is my first time doing this blanket, so you know, at the same time I want it to be perfect, but I'm just annoying. I think it's my Gemini rising trait. I don't know, at least I think it's my Gemini rising trait, but yeah. So there's the first cut. You have to do all the corners. You cut 5 by 5 inch squares, and then you start to cut the 1 inch, 5 inch length strips. So here's where I was using the little paper and I was realizing this is not going to be as easy as I thought. So yeah, it was definitely one of those trial and error situations, but it at least helped me get an idea of what a 1 inch strip looks like. But yeah, the paper thing was, I did away with it pretty quickly. As I was cutting these strips, I also realized that I wasn't doing so well with sticking with the 5 inch deep length. So I decided, you know what, let me just make a couple cuts so I know where the 1 inch is, and then I'll cut the rest. And that worked for the most part. That was just kind of what I ended up doing. But yeah, this was just, it was a little bit more tedious than I thought. So now this is where I'm cutting the length to match that 5 inch corner. And I think I forgot to mention too, when you're making this blanket, make sure that your fabrics on the pretty sides of the fabric are on the outside and the ugly side are together. So I was thankful that I remembered to do that part, but yeah, that's something I had to mention too. So yeah, this is just cutting the strips, and I pretty much worked section by section. The video tutorials that I was watching, they would say do all of the strips, like all 4 corners, and then go and tie everything. But I didn't do that. I actually started to tie my knots early to just kind of help me keep the fabric together and just, you know, section by section. So that's what I ended up doing. I kind of just started doing my own thing at this point, and it came out pretty good. So now we are going to start tying the knots. I did a couple at first, and now I can see why the 5 inch length is necessary, because the longer it is, the easier it is to tie. So I did my couple knots, and then here I am back at cutting the strips. And like I said, I was doing section by section. Tying these little strips could be a little tricky, but it's pretty much like as if you were tying the end of a balloon. So once I got the hang of it, it was pretty easy, and you got to make sure that you pull it tight. There were some of the strips I know I did not cut 5 inches, so those were a little bit harder for me to get, but at this point I didn't care. Like, this is the part in my project that I was just like, you know what, being perfectionist is just not gonna do it. And then, as you can tell, the lengths of some of the fabric, they're not lined up. It's just all over the place, but that's because of the uneven cutting of my fabric beforehand. I did my best, but you really can't tell. That's the thing. Like, as I was doing this craft, I realized you really can't tell if the fabric wasn't lining up. You really can't tell if the strips are 5 inches or 4 inches. Like, it really doesn't matter. It's a fringe. It's not, it's not anything major. So all of that stress and worry at the start of this of this craft was so unnecessary. And there's just something so relaxing about sitting down and just tying the fleece and having some music playing. I think I had a YouTube video going, and it was just me time. So I totally recommend this little craft for anyone who's interested in making a blanket. Look at how cute. Oh, it looks so cute. I kept taking peeks of the other side because I wanted to see how everything was coming out. And I just love that you could see pops of orange when you flip over the blanket, but I wanted to wait for the grand reveal after. So here we are starting the next side. This side I was a little bit more nervous for because this was the side where the fabric was completely just all over the place. So as I was cutting, I was trimming, and I really just I really just did what I did. And as you could tell, I'm not even using the strips. I was just eyeballing 1 inches and the 5 inch. It became pretty easy. So this was the more stress-free portion of the crafting. And we are done, you guys. All of the fringe, here it is. It looks so it looks so cute. I did mess up on the corner, so I'll show you right here. I didn't remember that I had already cut out a 5-inch square portion, so there it is. But hey, it's my blanket. I don't care. It's still super cute. I love this orange. It's like the perfect pumpkin. And here is the other side. Oh my god, I love the pops of orange, the ghosties. It just looks so cute. I am so excited, and I cannot wait to use this. So excited with the way my blanket turned out. I love it. It's cozy, it's super soft, and I cannot wait to cuddle up with it tonight. Thank you guys for joining me with another little video, a spooky video. I hope you had a good time, and I hope that this inspired you to create your own spooky Halloween blanket. Until then, I will see you guys in my next video very, very soon. Love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.